Hi Ayush, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. So I'm ready when you are.
Yeah, we still have a few people joining.
Sure,
We should be able to start in a couple of minutes.
no problem. Sounds good. I noticed at least one person is wearing a tie and all that. I can understand it's a college culture, but this lecture is totally casual. So please feel relaxed, unwind, loosen up. I don't think you need to be suited booted for this talk.
It's all right, sir.
You can take out your blazer, man. Unless of you're feeling too cold.
We have to follow our culture, sir.
I have had this interesting incident. So I've been to MDI Gurgaon 3 times now. Second time was first 2 time was offline. Then this one was online. But my first uh, offline session, I went in thinking, okay, I look cool and casual, and I walk in with a nice shirt and a jeans, and then everyone and that was summer in Gurgaon. It was almost touching 40 degrees, and everyone was in strict formals and ties, and I was like feeling completely out of place. So the next time when I was going, I made sure I made it a point to let them know in advance that. You might have rules to follow, but for my guest lecture, you don't need to follow that rule. You want to be completely relaxed. I'm glad that I could notice that before the talk started. What I'm going to say is anyway going to make you sweat. So why do you want to sweat even before I talk?
Maybe just a minute or so, and then we can start.
No problems. So Ayush, how can I see more windows? I see a scrolling 6 windows. I see 6 people. Is it possible to see more people?
Yeah, so at the top right, you
Yeah.
should see two icons, one of which will say enter full screen, and the other will say gallery view.
Okay. Wait a minute. Uh, okay, yeah.
Huh.
So I select gallery. Okay, now I'm able to see. Yeah, I'm in the gallery view. Makes sense.
Okay, I suppose we can get started.
Okay, great.
So, on behalf of XLRI Jamshedpur, the PGDM General Management Batch, I am extremely honored and privileged to welcome Mr. Hetal Sonpal. Mr. Sonpal is a dynamic and accomplished business leader with 21 plus years in the tech industry. An alumnus of NMIMS Mumbai, Mr. Hetal has worked in senior management roles across Asia for Wipro, Microsoft, LinkedIn, and Intel. Mr. Hetal is a startup evangelist and prominent angel investor with a portfolio of 25 plus startups across different segments of business, enterprise, and consumer. Hetal is a mentor for change for Niti Ayog and mentors school children on innovation programs. He is a motivational speaker and has spoken at many prominent B schools and colleges across India. He is a fitness enthusiast, having run 17 half and 9 full marathons and completed the half marathon in 2018. He has read over 250 books in the last 3 years and loves to share learnings from his reading and running experience. And on a personal level, I'd like to say we've featured many guests, and yours is the most unique photo we've put on a poster.
I'm glad I could be a bit different. I think that's where the casualness of the discussion starts, right? If a guest speaker prefers to have his running image on the promo, then you know how casual it can be, right?
It's instantly eye-catching.
Thanks a lot, Ayush, and thanks to all of you for taking out time for this session. I appreciate. I know you guys have strict back-to-back schedules. I hope the time you spend with me would be really worth it. And just a housekeeping note, I encourage budding writers to get an opportunity through these lectures. So any of you would want to volunteer to write an article on this talk, please message on the chat window so Ayush can make a note of that. Um, as many people as they want to can come up. I know there are not too many writers, so I don't think we'll be flooded with like 20-30 requests coming in. But whoever is keen to write, whoever has a knack for creative writing, just put in your name. We'll have something interesting lined up for them. And end of the session, there is a fun session as well. So look forward to that. Don't drop out till I say bye-bye. So whenever these talks happen, whenever the introduction is made, it makes me a bit humble. It makes me trace back my journey 20 years back. Incidentally, I had a break between my engineering and MBA. So I'm referring to the year 1997 when I had finished my engineering, and I was among the unfortunate few who didn't have a campus job. But I was not disheartened by that. Like you guys, I had planned to do higher studies. And like some of you, I was confused whether to go for a master's in technology or to go for an MBA. And I said, let me give a shot to both of them. So while I'd been making applications for my MS course in the US, and I was applying to various B schools, and I was sitting at home, a friend of mine suggested that, hey, why don't you try for an off-campus job, and no point sitting at home. So his sister worked in Wipro in Bangalore. He said, why don't you go down to Bangalore and meet my sister and she can help out. So I landed in Bangalore. I stayed at a friend's place who fortunately had a job. He was even fortunate that his company had given him large accommodation, large enough for him to accommodate me. I sack up at his place and go to meet my friend's sister in Wipro. She says, simple process. We have a walk-in test. You appear for the test. If you clear the test, there are a couple of rounds of interviews. You clear the interview, the job is yours. So I gave the written test the same day, went back home, relaxed. Next day morning, my friend suggested that, Bangalore is like the Silicon Valley. I had no clue what Silicon Valley is at that time. I assumed that's something good. I said, no, there are a lot of IT companies and you can just go and apply. So I printed out my resume. My resume was sparkling awesome at that time. It had my 10th grade percentage, it had my 12th percentage, and it had my engineering grade, and a few summer projects here or there. And then I had my hobbies, and I always keep wondering, I still wonder, why would you mention hobbies in your resume? I don't think anyone got a job ever just because his hobby was reading or writing or running or scuba diving, for that matter. But I think the intent there was to fill up the A4 size paper. We were told that having too many blank spaces in the resume doesn't look nice. Unfortunate as I might be, I didn't have any laurels to add to it. Anyway, I took a few copies of my resume and went around knocking door to door at different IT companies stretching on one of the roads in Bangalore. And I had different type of experiences. So some place the guard would look at me. He's young, he's wearing formals, and he's having a desperate look on his face. Nahi hai. So he would look at me and he would know that I'm a job aspirant and there's no vacancy, please move ahead. Some places the guard would look at me and point to me at a desk, at a box, and say, idhar dal do. You just go and put your resume in there and move on. Try luck somewhere else. Some places I was more fortunate. I would get to meet the HR head or assistant. They would be kind to me, offer me a nice cup of filter coffee, ask me a few questions. Where are you from? What have you done? Blah, blah. At the end of the conversation, a standard line would be, we'll get back to you. I don't know how many of you know, but the real meaning to we'll get back to you is we've been convent educated. Our parents have taught us good manners. We should not be impolite and rude to applicants. We don't have a job for you. We don't hope to have a job for you, but we don't want to tell you on your face. So we'll be nice to you and we'll say we'll get back to you. The reality is we'll never get back to you. Okay, you move on. And so, I had a mixed experience that day and went back home. Next day morning, I was looking at the newspaper and I said, let me try something different. So there was a job posting made by a job consultant. He said, if you want a job, if you're looking for a job, meet me. So I call him, he calls me down. I go to this independent house in Jayanagar and knock on the door. An old man opens the door and he says, I said, yeah, I'd called you. He said, yeah, please come down and sit down. So while I'm sitting and waiting for my turn, there's a candidate before me, and we do some small talk, and then ask him, where are you from? And ask him, how long you've been job hunting? He says, 6 months. I'm like, it's been 6 days for me, and 6 months for you, man. You must have really worked hard. And then, during the conversation, he crossed his legs, and when he crossed his leg, his shoe sole had a hole, and I was petrified. I was scared. I was like, 6 days I've been, happily jointing around and feeling cool about this job hunt, and 6 months, and look what this it's done to this guy. And I was so scared. I said, I can't visualize myself in that scenario. Fati Chappal was what you used to see heroes in movies till that time, and I was facing stark reality. Next day morning, I got the call from Wipro for the interview, and I was super confident that I'm not going to get my a hole in my shoe sole. Cracked the interview. 11 years in Wipro, 21 years in corporate life since then. But I still remember that day. I still remember that incident. I know for a fact that it's important to stay hungry and stay foolish, but you need to stay humble as well. And I think that's where the grounding starts. Remember your roots, remember your background, know that you were you were an ordinary idiot guy at some point of time, and whatever you learn, whatever you earn, remember you started from ground zero. So with this story, I would want to switch and share a short video. I would request Ayush to move to the slide 2, which has links to 2 videos, and I would like you to play the first one. There's going to be an irritating ad in the beginning, so please don't mind. I'm not yet invested in YouTube Premium. Otherwise, I would have saved you this misery. But of course, you can skip the ad. Copy paste it if the link doesn't directly take you there. I think copy paste might be better. You can just click the skip ads once that, yeah, the movie started anyways. That's great. Ayush, I'm not getting the volume. Are the others getting it?
No, sir.
No, sir, we aren't.
Now?
Yes, we are able to hear you.
Yeah, yeah, you can just push it back and that's.
Yeah.
I was a big dreamer, and so my job was to clean these 7 floors between Friday and Sunday. So every time I would go to the 7th floor was the CEO's office. So I would bust in like I was the CEO. I'm dreaming like I'm the CEO now. And who would have ever thought? I've been blessed. And here I am. I am the CEO of my own company.
Well, I think that the number one thing is you have to have a very clear vision, a very clear goal of where you want to go, because only then you will get there. You can have the best airplane or the best ship in the world, but if the captain doesn't know where to go, he will just drift around. If the pilot does not know where to go, he will just drift around with his plane. So I think the key thing is that we know where we're going and that you're very passionate about that. You see it always in front of you, the goal.
To thrive in whatever you do, please understand your terrain. Know what your target is. Don't guess it. Be as clued up as the next man, because that's your petrol. That's your fuel to get you moving. If you don't know where you're going, what your targets are,
The other thing that's important is that you got to shoot for the top. You got to go and really have big goals and think big, because then you're going to get big. Then you're going to go and achieve big things. That is the most important thing. If you don't achieve big things by accident.
I have to tell each and every one of you that it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, your age, you can achieve anything that you set your mind to. You can do it.
If you think that you're going to go and accomplish something really special and be the best in anything in the world, and you think you can do it without working, you make a big mistake. Because no matter what I did, if it was in bodybuilding or in acting or if it is in the political arena, it always took a lot of work. And you got to put out, and you got to, something, make a lot of sacrifices. Notice, if you're not willing to work hard, forget about it.
I truly believe we are all equal as human beings. If we are obsessed with something and we truly pursue our passion with everything we have, if you are obsessed, work hard, put in the time, you will succeed. And that is a philosophy that I carry, my coaches carry. And to see LeBron James, who's like a mega superstar over here and a phenomenal athlete, share that belief is inspiring right back to me. It shows that we are thinking correct. This is hard work. This is an obsession. Nothing can beat hard work.
This here is the reality.
Listen, the work is behind the scene. Competition is the easy part. Behind the scenes is where the work is done. And everything is done to get that one race that you need to run.
I always questioned myself in the best of times, even when I was world number one for many weeks and months in a row. At certain times during the year, I said, what can I improve? What if you don't do anything, or you just do the same thing over and over again, you stay the same. And the same means going backwards, because the other guys are working hard and improving. So I always needed to find ways to improve my game as well.
Very often we watch a lot of young people sort of meander around without any idea about why they're doing what they're doing. I mean, to want and to be ambitious and to want to be successful is not enough.
So I think the message from the video was quite evident. I think this talk is all about career planning. It is all about how you visualize what you're going to do further up ahead in your life. I know this batch of MBA students is different from the regular MBA. And I think the difference is the quantum of gray hair you have on your head. Die or no die doesn't make a difference, because you can't run away from reality. Well, I think the extra number of years of experience which you have adds more difficulty to attend the session like this, because you have a disadvantage of 5, 6, 7 years of experience, which whatever it might be in your case, you would have wanted to hear this talk 5, 6, 7 years back. Why not 5, 6 years, 7 years? I do this talk even to school students Even an 11th grader or 12th grader should be listening to this talk, and he would probably be able to make far more use of it at that age than what he would do today. Well, so the race to 40, I don't know how many of you would have guessed it, obviously, is all about how do you plan your corporate career or your life much better, so that when you're in the strike range of hitting 40, which would be anywhere between 38 to 42, 43, you should be fairly comfortably placed in life. And I think the comfort, the measure of comfort is not based on your bank balance. The measure of comfort is not based on the salary you're drawing at that point of time. The measure of comfort is purely based on how happy you are. And regardless of how many philosophical books you would have studied, happiness is something which is extremely deep and internal, and it varies for each one of you differently, right? So four people might be happy for four different reasons at the same point of time in their lives, and everyone is right. And that four could actually be 4 million or 4 billion as well. And that's what makes happiness difficult, because you don't have a set paths ahead of you, which says that, if you would be earning a crore by the time you turn 30, or if you would be earning 2 crores by the time you're 40, you could be called as happy. The fact of the matter is someone who's earning a crore at 30 or 2 crores at 40 is not happy. Then you would say, no, if you have one wife and two kids, or two wives and one kid, maybe you're happy. Sometimes four wives is also not good. Ask some of the Muslims in Gulf states, and they would say, boss, four wives is four troubles, right? Then you say, boss, maybe two kids is not enough. Maybe I should have four kids. Ask Lalu Prasad Yadav. He's not happy with 11 kids either. So everywhere the definition varies, right? And you keep attaining benchmarks, and then you realize, yeah, no, man, this is not what I wanted, right? I think then you start questioning self-belief. Then you start questioning purpose of life. Then you start looking at man's search for meaning. I'm taking the title from Viktor Frankl's book, in case you guys guessed it. And there are umpteen number of meanings you can derive for the same question. You can meet as many gurus, and yet you might not find the answer. Or you might just meet one guru and you might become a disciple of that guru for life, and you might be abundantly clear in terms of what you want to do. It's interesting that I decided to tweak my talk a little bit, just based on the book which I read last night. It was kind of a eureka moment for me, because a lot of stuff which was mentioned there was known to me through different books I've read. By the way, that count has gone up from 250 to 299. In the next hour after this session, I would have finished the 100th book of this year, which would make it 300. The interesting part here, why I decided to tweak around and add a few points from the book which I read last night, and the name is going to be kept a secret for a while, is because it gave me a different paradigm to life, right? And then you start with a simple question: what's the objective of your birth? Why are you here? Even if you leave the fancy goals aside of being successful, having a company, starting your own company, becoming the CEO, becoming a father, becoming a husband, becoming a good son, all those are secondary objectives, right? The primary objective for you is to make the most of life, what life offers to you. And when you say make the most, it is to utilize your potential to the ultimate limit. And when you say utilize the potential to the ultimate limit, if you think running a 10K is great, then try running a half marathon. If you run a half marathon, try running a full marathon. If you can trek in the hills nearby, in Nandi Hills, then try going to Mount Kilimanjaro. If you cover Mount Kilimanjaro, maybe you want to try and cover Mount Everest next. If you think scuba diving is great, then you can try multiple options of scuba diving and go deeper. There is a next level for everything which you do. They say sky's the limit, but hey, man has reached the Mars, is close to reaching the Mars planet. There's sky's not the limit. I think you need to rewrite the story, right? And why sky not the limit is because human endurance or human spirit, the limit has yet to be tested out. And I don't need to even quote an example here. I'm sure you just Google around, you will find umpteen examples of stuff which people have done, and you're like, wow, that's possible. Yeah, that's possible. So if you start from a benchmark like that, and I decide to make you feel clearly disheartened and disoriented by telling you that reaching XLRI and getting to an MBA program is no great achievement, right? There are thousands who have done before you. There are millions who are going to do after you, and there are probably 10, 20, 30, 40,000 students in the country right now who are doing more or less a similar course as you. Yes, they might not have the blue chip logo of an XLRI next to them, but hey, you know what? 19-20 का फर्क है, उसमें ज़्यादा कोई फर्क नहीं है, right? So it's all about differentiation, right? When you get into the dog world of corporate life, which you already tasted a bit before you came into this program, you know for a fact that there are no brownie points for averages, right? And there are accolades for you to outperform only to the extent till someone doesn't outperform you, right? You used to. I mean, I grew up watching Sachin Tendulkar, watching Sunil Gavaskar. I saw Sachin eclipsing Sunil Gavaskar by miles, and I'm sure that very soon Virat would be outsmarting Sachin's records by the dozen, right? And who knows? I might live long enough. I hope so, because I always like to have a long life. I might see someone who might eclipse Virat's records as well. And I just took up one sport, right? This morning, Lewis Hamilton has equaled Michael Schumacher's record. No one ever expected anyone to do that, right? You look at the statistic about when Roger Bannister broke the 4-mile barrier record, it took him 2-3 decades to break that record, and within the span of 6 months, there were multiple other athletes breaking that record. So it's one person who has to take the lead. Now, whether you would like to be the leader or you would like to follow. It brings me to the interesting twist in the conversation, which is topoed from the book which I read yesterday. You decide whether you want to be a leader or a follower, right? Just hold on one second, please. Yeah, so you decide whether you want to be a leader or a follower. A leader or a head of the organization is looking for average people with average abilities to follow average orders and become an average executive. And you guys will be, jumping over yourself to apply for that job without realizing what you're applying for is just average. You say, no, sir, we are getting a 25 lakh starting salary. No, we're getting a 30 lakh starting salary. We are among the top, among the only 5 candidates recruited from the country, blah, blah, and all. There is no job which is just one job, right? There will always be someone else. Except, of course, if they're hiring you for a CEO position, which they will not hire you straight from the B school, you'll need to gradually inch towards that, right? So there is no job in any corporate which cannot be done by someone else. And if you're applying for a job which can be done by someone else, which means that you are replaceable. And as long as you are replaceable, your job is under threat, which means that you're under constant pressure to outperform your peers, your colleagues, and stay above the edge. And that's what the interesting aspect of midlife crisis comes in, right? If I trace back history and I realize the fact that humans in their initial origin form were hunters, right? And they were running all around. Their ass was completely on fire all the time. Either they were running to catch a prey or trying to avoid being a prey themselves, right? They were on the run all the time. And I think that's when they were the highest productive, right? They were the most productive because you can't sit idle. If you sit idle, someone will have you for dinner. And if you have had your dinner, you better have a guard around you and just make sure that you don't fall prey to someone. Then humans became farmers, and that's where the laziness started. So rather than going around hunting for food, you could sow seeds and wait for your food to grow, and then you reap the benefits of whatever effort you put in, and that's how we used to survive. And then long later came the industrial age, and the industrial age completely transformed humans forever. I read somewhere actually, work from home as a concept is nothing new. before industrial age came about, everyone used to work from home. A mason or an artisan or a gardener or a farmer, they all used to work from their home. A farmer didn't go to office somewhere, right? Artist would not go to a studio to paint, right? He would paint in his house, sit wherever he was sitting, and he would, come out with great painting, or a potter for that matter, or a cook or a chef for that matter. You didn't have to go out and do something, right? The work was done right there in your home as well, right? So coming back to today's reality, the pressure comes in is because the life has transformed drastically, and I think the last 7 to 10 years, which I would call the social media decade, which has been an overrider on the digital decade, has put phenomenal pressure on you, because not only is your job replaceable, it can be replaced by anyone, anywhere on the planet, with half the qualification of what you have. So the factors of competition are completely out of whack, right? Earlier, if I had told you that you had these 30,000-40,000 fellow MBA students studying in for the same course across different institutes, which you need to fight with, now an engineering grad can actually outsmart you, and for no fault of yours. You are not actually wasting your time. With all due respect, XLRI is a great institute. I have phenomenal respect for that institute. I know you have great teachers and great professors, and they're doing a fabulous job. The fact is whether that delta information which you're gathering at XLRI, is it sufficient enough for you to be capable enough of weathering all possible storms in your corporate career and still coming out good, right? And even if you reach the CXO position, is that what you are aiming for? If you're not aiming for that, then you definitely need to worry about it, because you are definitely one of the possible candidates to fall victim to the midlife crisis, which the race to 40 is all about. Now, what happens in midlife crisis is that if you are in the age bracket 38 to 42, and if you not reach the CXO level in a mid-sized company, or a senior management VP level in a large company, you are likely to feel that you are probably not doing justice to the quantum of effort you put in to reach there, either in your work life or in your student life. We all aspire for that leadership position, but that leadership position should have some quantum of stuff to do from an innovation, from a uniqueness perspective. If it's not there, muft ki roti kisi ko hajam ho jati hai. You might be okay for a comfortable job where you're just doing cut copy paste from the global HQ and executing those ideas into India and claiming that you did it, and claiming them as your ideas. Or if it's a local HQ as well, you might probably be doing something what the CXO with the board of directors decided to implement in the organization, and it didn't really have you having to do something drastically different. Assuming that you all would be in functions like sales, marketing, finance, and HR, and not in the production department. But even in production department, the changes which you can bring about purely on your own are very small and very minimalistic. You will not have a super duper great authority to build a new product or to invent a new product, right? That's the realms of a tech on a tech grad who would have a completely different benchmark for success for him. We leave that aside, right? So if you don't reach that senior position, then you start feeling disgruntled and disoriented in life. You feel that you're wasting your time, and if you don't feel that you're wasting your time, you're still wasting your time, right? So it doesn't matter if you're happy to be in that cocoon, to be in that fanciful world where you are earning 10 to 12 lakhs a month. All your expenses put together put you off by 5-7 lakhs. You're still left with 4 lakhs of savings. Instead of going for one foreign vacation, you decide to go for 2 foreign vacations. Instead of putting your kid in an average school, you put him in an international school. You do all that and you're still saving maybe a lakh here and there, and that's still not great. Just because you save money, just because you have a blue chip job, doesn't mean that you have done justice to yourself in your life. 99.9% of the people globally are doing that. They're born, they go to school, they go to college, they get married, they have kids, they have a job, they become the CXO, then they retire and they die. And if you are happy with that kind of a checkered career, which has very few laurels to talk about, kudos to you. I don't think you need to spend more time in this talk at all, because I think you kind of on your way there. But hold on. If you feel that life is only comes once, you don't believe in the Saat Janam ka lafda, then you want to make the most of your life. And when you say you want to make the most of your life, there is a hell lot of stuff which you can do. Let me take a pause and let me switch to personal life, right? And come back to what you can do to make your life different. What's happening on your personal life? Some of you might have got married because you had work experience before you, but some of you might not have got married. You're going to get married, you're going to have children. Children are going to go to school. Children might go to college by the time you turn 40, depending on what age you are. So the same kid who used to be a fancy toy to play with, who would give you phenomenal love and affection when he was a toddler, now is too busy with his studies or busy with his friends, and he doesn't have as much time for you. And instead of he jumping on you, you have to seek time from him when you want to talk to him or her. The same husband or wife who used to hang around and used to love hang around and used to talk for hours, now is too busy with his or her schedule, and doesn't feel the romance in the marriage anymore. Doesn't mean that he or she's not loving you, but they become normal now, right? They've been there, done that, right? That they're living a normal life of a husband and wife, and at times this can lead to boredom at a level where there is no dislike. I'm not coming to that word, but disinterest or not being overtly infatuated with the partner, which means that you don't have comfort either with your spouse or with your child in terms of feeling welcome at home. And then you realize the other element, which is your siblings. If you have younger siblings, then more and more responsibility grows on you to make sure that your siblings are doing well. You want to make sure that financially they're fine, their family wise they're fine. You just have to play that role of an elder sibling. And most importantly, your parents are getting older, right? So by the time you're touching 38, 40, your parents are in the 65, 70 range. Most of them retired. Most of them would have good health, but some of them might start showing signs of old age. And the de facto expectation is payback time. I made sure that you are wealthy and wise for the 40 years of your life. Now spend some time with me and take care of me. May or may not mean stay with you, but be around to be there to help you, to help them, right? Which means added responsibility coming from that end as well, and which is fair, right? It's a fair expectation for parents to have that. The problem here is amidst expectations of boss, amidst expectations of wife and kids and siblings and parents, your own expectations go down the drain, right? You had aspired for learning guitar. Guitar dhul kha raha hai. You had decided to learn golf. You're not seen the golf course for the last 12 months. You had aspired to start running, but you're not able to wake up in time to be able to go. And you have late night calls, which don't allow you to go in the evening. You had aspired to pick up learning a course, and you're not able to find time for it. You had thought of going for a PhD. You don't have time to apply for it. You had planned to see the Seven Wonders. Your wife doesn't want to see the five of them. She's only okay with two of them, and you don't know whom to go with for the others. All kind of challenges come in, and your own aspirations and your wishes take a backseat, which is still okay. What is not okay is your fitness, your health routine, your diet, all goes for a toss, right? So you're too busy traveling for the company. You're lodged up in 5-star hotels wherever you travel, and you get the best food, which is all company paid. But you don't have time to go to the fancy gym in the same hotel. You don't have time to go to the spa in the same hotel. You come back too late after work and after dinner, the spa is closed. You wake up late, and you don't have time to even go for a run, forget about going to the gym. Your health takes a backseat, your fitness takes a backseat, and then you start reading in newspapers about a 40-something having a heart attack, a 35-something dying, and then you're surprised as if you didn't know that. And that would have happened if you're not attended this guest lecture. A lot of you would have been surprised. Just like I was surprised when it started happening in my peer group, and I was actually completely foxed. I was completely surprised In admission and in witness of the 91 participants in this call, I want to admit that I was a total idiot when I graduated from B school. I was on seventh heaven, having got my job back to Wipro. I got an off-campus job from Wipro, even though Wipro was not coming on the NM campus. Wipro sent me to XLRI, SPGen for an off-campus placement. I was like really feeling wow. My first starting salary was more than what my dad ever got as a paycheck in his entire 40-year career. I didn't think that I could do anything wrong. Started in Bangalore, went to Tokyo, worked in Japan for 10 years, the best quality of life. I felt that I had arrived. I have like got back-to-back awards for the best salesperson in Wipro for 6 years in running. I really didn't feel any knowledge was lacking. I didn't feel I was lacking any fitness. Not that I was stout in any way, but I was not doing the kind of crazy run which I've done in the last 4 or 5 years, where I've completed 10 full marathons, 17 half marathons, a 50K ultra. I've been on the Everest Base Camp trek, and I've done a half Ironman as well. And funnily enough, I did all that in the last 4 or 5 years. So you say, sir, what were you doing from age 0 to 40? Zero. I didn't do anything. I've read 300 books in the last 3 years, but if I look at the 43 years before that, I would not have read 43 books. And when I say books, I'm obviously referring to quality books, right? Books which have weight, books which have content which is worth absorbing. Self-help books, management books, books, autobiography. Pick up a topic, AI, right? Doing an AI course at your level is worthless. But reading about AI and knowing how AI is managing your life and how you will use AI to manage other people's life is more important. And that's what you'll get in books. Aspiring or feeling wow about Roger Federer winning a Grand Slam is great. Millions of people are doing that. But how many of you have actually studied Roger Federer's career and understood the kind of practice he's gone through? How many of you have read Arnold's autobiography and heard about the kind of challenges which he went through as an immigrant landing on shores of America and going on to become the highest paid movie star and becoming the governor for the largest state in the US? No mean achievements, right? So go behind the scenes and understand what these guys have done. And that you can only get from books. Any topic you talk about, sports, health, fitness, diet, business, culture, history, geography, science, the kind of books which are out there in the market, they will just completely fox you. You'll seriously feel like an idiot after reading a book, and you'll be like, hell, I'm 23, 24, and I didn't know that. Yes, a lot of other people don't know that. And that's where lies the differentiation. And that's where the differentiation comes in on what I spoke about in terms of how you can make a difference to your life, how you can edge on the guy next to you, or the girl right on your right, or the guy on your left, how you can outsmart them. You can outsmart them by reading. You can outsmart them by staying fit. You can outsmart them by being progressive. You can outsmart them by picking up a topic and building expertise around that topic. And it's not just to look smart in a social gathering or a culture gathering or a networking event. It is for your own good, because the more you know, the more confident you are, and regardless of whatever activity you do, you'll do it well. For me, the biggest high after finishing a run and achieve or breaking my target timing is the next activity which I do, because I carry on the goodness of the first activity, which is a run, into a completely non-exercise routine, like finishing assignment or writing a project report or writing a blog. My output does turn out to be much better if I'm morally on a high from one activity when I get into the other activity. Time management, setting goals, targeting towards goals, setting milestones, measuring yourself on success, comparing yourself with others, communicating with others. How do you communicate? What do you talk? What do you don't talk? How do you read other people's body language? There are books for everything on this planet. In case you feel that there is a limited number of books which you have come across, let me squash that thought process forever now, right? On a daily basis, almost 3,000 books are being published in English every day, which means almost 1 million books every year. Even if you trace back the printing history to about 125 years, that's 125 million books waiting for you to read right now. Right now, be extremely smart and prudent when you pick up a book. Whether you paid $300 or you got it for free, dump it the moment you start disliking it. 10 pages you don't like it, hang on. 20 pages you don't like it, hang on. 40 pages and you're still not getting it, probably you need to dump it. The money you spent, it's not going to come back to you. But the time which you're going to spend on reading it, trying to read further, is still there with you. Salvage your time while you can't salvage the money. I told you the number of books which are there so far. Add 60 years of your life going ahead. That's 60 million more books to read. So, give or take, you have 200 million books to read in the 80 years which you are going to be on this planet on an average. The average number of books a human reads? It's less than 2,500 books. So you are likely to read 2,500 books out of overall universe of 200 million books. Now, if you still insist on reading that shit book, which you picked up for $450, and you want to continue reading it because you spend that $450, sorry, man, God can't help you. So first is fitness, diet, nutrition, reading, knowledge, networking. Network like hell. The more people you know, the better you are. Simple as that. Now, that doesn't mean making random requests on LinkedIn to people who have no idea why you're connecting with them. Be smart. Be prudent. Be smart. Clearly analyze why you would want to connect with a person. And most important, tell him or her why you want to connect with him or her. And don't make it like a selfish propaganda. Try and see how it could actually turn out to be a mutually beneficial relationship. And if it's not mutually beneficial, please position it in such a way that the other person feels honored to have a connection like you. Make it apparent enough. And I think that's where your marketing skills come in. Even if it's your even if your specialization is finance, marketing is core to every human being. Sales is core to every human being. If you can't sell yourself, you can't get a job. As simple as that. You appear for a job interview, you're actually selling yourself. You as a product, you know yourself best. Your parents don't know you, your siblings don't know you, your teachers don't know you. It's only you who could make an analysis and come out trumped and say what is the inherent core skills of yours, which will be a must-have for the organization which you're applying to. The moment you're able to establish the connect, regardless of whatever your on-paper credentials were, the guy would have to hire you. We don't realize it at many times, but our credentials just get you into the door for the interview. What finally carries you forward is the attitude which you go ahead with. And I'm sure I don't need to tell you, I think there are enough number of movies which you would have come across or which you would have heard about, which clearly show you how you can display an attitude even if you don't have one. Building an attitude or building a habit, as Charles Duhigg spoke in his book, Power of Habit, is something which is very much possible. Having a growth mindset is what matters, right? And it's a very simple ideology, and I'm glad that this struck me. Okay, so there is this bottle of water here on my desk, right? Now I want to drink water. Either I can make the effort of picking up the bottle and drinking it, or I can ask someone to give it to me, or I can build a product or a technology by which a straw will automatically pop out on my voice command, come out from the bottle, come to my mouth, I drink the water, and the straw goes back. Now, there are three different instances of three different mindset, right? The first mindset is the natural mindset, but there is a positive element to it. The second mindset is a normal mindset, but it's got a negative element to it. But the third mindset of thinking out of the box and coming up with a solution which might first hand be considered as you being lame and lazy because you just wanted to avoid the effort of picking up the bottle and drinking the water. But at the same time, you come up with a phenomenal invention which maybe might be a sign of laziness for you. But someone with no arms, it becomes an important asset which he will thank you for the rest of his life. So you decide which mindset which would you rather be. It is so easy to sit idle. It is so easy to be in the job which you are in. It is so easy to sit in one position. It is so easy not to do something. And that's why the people who are the converse of that, the people who are always willing to get up, the people who are always willing to run when they can walk, the people who are willing to fly when they can run, the people who are willing to stretch and do extra, the people who are willing to think more, and mental powers and power of the mind becomes an extremely important element in everything which I'm talking about, right? Your physical body has its own limitations which can be overcome by a mental power. I've always believed that I'm a mind runner. Regardless of the kind of stamina I built, regardless of the kind of practice I've done, regardless of the kind of familiarity my legs have developed to the running stride, end of the day, what carries me across the finishing line in every race is my mind. It's my mind is set towards a target and my mind is set towards a particular time. And I know for a fact that I need to reach that target in that particular time. I have programmed my mind. I have fooled my mind into believing that it's possible, even if my physical capabilities disallow me to be able to do that. I have myself observed and known about people extremely overweight, achieving running barriers which normal people are getting left out on. And the clear answer to that is their mind has that power within them to do that. Just because you're overweight doesn't mean that you can't run very fast. It's just that the quantum of energy which you will need uh, uh, to run, or the quantum of fat you will burn would be far higher, but the quantum of energy will be needed to be far more. But yes, you can, even if you are physically unfit, you can beat anyone in a race, provided your willpower is strong enough to do that. Willpower is a muscle in the body, just like you build your abs, just like you build your all kind of your body muscles. You can build willpower as a muscle. So don't tell me that you can't do it just because you're overweight. Don't tell me because you've got weak legs. I've had meniscus tear in one knee since beginning of last year. Now I have meniscus tear in both my knees. Yet I've done 2 full marathons, 4 half marathons, and umpteen number of 10Ks and 15Ks and 20-30Ks in the last 6-7 months of lockdown. If I don't have any excuse for running, I don't see any reason why you can have an excuse for not running. So I think that's the crux of the discussion. I would like to take a break here. I would invite a few questions before I jump into the latter part of the discussion, so that I've been doing a lot of talking. I genuinely need to pick up that bottle of water and take a sip. So questions, please.
Hello, this is Sumit. I'm audible.
Yeah, Sumit, loud and clear. Go ahead.
So I had a question regarding, since you have an experience as a coach as well, and last few points were mostly regarding the mindset. So are there, and you also mentioned that knowledge is infinite. You can probably read 3,400 books, but eventually it's the mindset that is extremely important. So are there some sort of specific tools or techniques that you use that give you that peak performance state?
So I think, just 1 second, please. So I think tools and techniques are typically highly personalized, right? So what works for me might not work for you. In every activity, the tools or techniques would vary, right? So when it comes to reading, I have set of tools and techniques which I deploy. I read in all 3 different forms: physical, digital, and audible. I read audiobooks as well quite a lot. Second is I have multiple genre of books. I read 3-4 books at the same time, because depending on the mood, depending on my need, I find one particular content to be better than the other at any given point of time. And so it's easier for me to switch books. It's easier for me to switch formats. I identify the time in the day when I want to read. The quantum of time is available is known. When I do it, it depends on how the day goes. Most of the time, if I'm going for a walk or a long run, I'm on Audible and I'm listening to books rather than listening to music. I've made a big shift from music to books, audiobooks, and I think it's helped me a lot from a productivity perspective. The reason I've been able to read so many books is because I was listening to a lot of books when I did all those practice runs. So that's a simple example from a tools and technique perspective for reading. The same would apply for running or for any activity, right? It starts with the fact that you have a positive intent. Second, it starts with the fact that you're willing to go down deeper and analyze what you've been doing. You're willing to poke holes and identify faults within yourself and feel proud about finding faults, right? We all know failures are a stepping stone to success, but we are the last people to want to admit our mistakes. The moment you start admitting your mistakes and realize that there is no guilt or shame in admitting them, the sooner you will be able to increase your productivity. Plus, of course, there are lots of books you can read, which will gradually inch yourself towards being a better person in all streams of life.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. Prithviraj here. So my question is that isn't it better to read one book and implement the learning that you got, rather than reading so many books and not getting the time to actually use the learning or the knowledge that you got?
So very true. So I think different courses for different horses for different courses. If you feel that you would rather concentrate on one book, be happy about it. I think that's a much better strategy than reading 4 books at the same time. So everything which I said need not be copied, right? Just because I run marathons, you don't need to run marathons. Just because I read books, you don't need to read books. It has to come from within, because if it doesn't come from within, it's not going to work out. You might read 4 books at the same time and you might not get knowledge from even one of them. So simple answer, yes, I think it's good if you read just one book at a time. Implement it thoroughly in your life. Practice as much as you want to. Even the quantum of books, right? I mean, I've brought in a sense of urgency, because when I tell you there are 200 million books to read, you'll make that effort to read that 2,500 number. If I would have said there are 2,000 books to read, take your own sweet time to read, you would probably not read 200 also. Because you'll be like, हाँ जिंदगी पड़ी है अभी बहुत time है, पढ़ लेंगे. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So unusually quiet class. A professor in my MBA used to tell me that if there are not enough questions, either everyone has understood everything or no one has understood anything. And I just hope it's a former rather than latter.
I had a question.
Go ahead, please.
So, when you were telling your story, one thing I noticed was that there's a clear mindset shift between, for example, like at a particular threshold, like whether it's when you turn 40 or whatever. So, would you say that was just a mindset shift, or were you just building on everything you learned by that point? Or was it a conscious thing that now I have achieved all of that, now I want to sort of take the next leap? Or was that just an organic transition?
No, I think it was a combination of push and pull, right? So I think life threw me into deep waters, and I had no choice but to learn to swim. But then I loved swimming because I'd been swimming since age 6. So I was happy to get back into that zone where I could bring back my old skills and use them to my advantage. So I think it was a combination of the two. Everyone might not be lucky. You might be forced into deep waters and you might actually not know swimming, and you might literally start swimming from that day onwards. But yeah, I mean, ultimately you will survive as long as you have the will to survive. So that was an attempt on Ayush's part to salvage pride and honor of XLRI by putting through one question.
No, sir, nothing like that. Like maybe
but it's mostly the former case. So
yeah,
of the two women.
actually,
yeah.
It
was all in good humor. Don't worry, I will not go back with bad impression about XLRI just because you didn't ask enough questions.
That we are actually, it's so different. Your thought process, what you're trying to tell, and we are really amazed. Like thinking it's making us think a lot.
Yeah.
And still we are processing that kind of information. Like you told already that this what I'm going to say is really going to shake you a bit.
Yeah.
And
Sir,
it's making us
good afternoon, sir. So Praneeth this side. So I could actually relate to most of which you were speaking right now, right? So I ran a 10K myself, and after the 7th or maybe 8th kilometer, it was on auto mode. The legs were moving on their own.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you see that finish line, so then you get charged up, and then kicks in that yes, I've done that part. So
True.
I could relate it, but it's between that. I can only give reference of 10K here because it's between that 7th and 9th kilometer where you don't know whether you will be able to make it or not because your body's crying stop, 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 but somehow you keep running on. So
yeah,
that's the part I could relate.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And any barrier, you will never know till you actually face it, right? Any hurdle, you will never know whether you can cross it or not till you actually reach that point. So to assume that all of you can't climb Mount Everest, I think would be a stupid argument to make till you don't reach there. And you say, sir, ऐसे ऐसे कैसे जा सकते हैं? People can actually get killed. But honestly, you're not going to go tomorrow, right? Once you make up that plan, you all going to go through that grind, right? You're going to go through that 1 month training camp in NIM. You're going to climb a couple of other peaks. You're going to get the best of gadgets. You're going to get the best of shoes. You're going to get the best of Sherpa to go along with you. You will have your best buddies going along with you, are going to be there with you all the way. It's going to be a team effort all the way. And the chances of failure are drastically reduced after every step. And that's where you got your solution. But till you sit in your confines of your house and say, टहल के आ गए हम एक किलोमीटर बहुत कर लिया types, then well, that's your ultimate limit.
True, sir. In fact, I find references of Les Brown, Jim Rohn, and all those people while you're speaking. So even Zig Ziglar, which you mentioned. So
of course,
it's quite true.
Yeah. So every individual in that video has a story, right? And that story would be 4-5 hours.
I've watched that video around 10-12 times. So as soon as you put that on, I knew what this was going to be.
Arnold's autobiography, it took me 32 hours on Audible. It's that long.
Right.
And I honestly didn't feel bored for even a moment through that entire autobiography. I mean, kind of crazy stuff is done. He's worked at a massage parlor and all that. I mean, go and read it. I mean, you'll feel I'm living such an ordinary, stupid life, and I'm yet not able to do anything about it. And he was living an ordinary life, and he transformed it. And
I think from one line from his, which you mentioned, which struck me was that I start counting as soon as the pain starts kicking in. I don't start counting the weights as in when I start lifting those weights. So giving those references.
It's actually a technique my coach used to tell me. So if I was supposed to do 40 sit-ups, he would not count till I touched 30. And suddenly you're like 31, 32. Bloody hell, why were you not counting so far? I've done 30. He said, no, it doesn't matter. You've done 30. Those 30 are inconsequential. The real pain starts when you're on 31 and 32. And for you to go from 30 to 40 looks far more difficult than going from 0 to 30.
Right.
And then every one crunch or every one sit-up is actually a milestone achieved. But then, yes, he will back you all the way, right? He will make sure that you do those last 10 really well.
Yes, sir.
Great. So without putting any further pressure on you guys to ask more questions, let me just jump to the smaller section. So Ayush, can you put on slide number 3 in the presentation deck there? Okay, so there are certain hidden messages on this slide. Anyone wants to guess why these messages are put up on this slide? Okay, so surprise, surprise, these are titles of books. They're not probably the best books, but I think all of them would rank among the best books I've read. Each of them has a very subtle and very deep meaning. Each of these are worth reading. I don't think I can do without ever having read any of these. So they are as important. For example, Pour Your Heart Into It, actually story of Starbucks. Make Your Bed is actually written by a Navy SEAL. Phenomenal book. I mean, the kind of examples he's talked about, the kind of training which Navy SEAL go through. जो हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना, रोंगटे खड़े हो जाएंगे. Give and take is a beautiful phenomena. an absolutely great book by Adam Grant, which talks about how in life either you are a giver or a taker. Either you are always trying to do good to others, or you're always looking out for others to do good to you and survive or thrive on other people's help. Eat That Frog is a phenomenal concept. It talks about the fact that if you have 10 things to do in a given day, start with the hardest thing first. The moment you have done the hardest thing, even if it takes 50% of your day, so one activity took up half the day out of 10, the balance 9 activities will just fly, right? Because the high of having done that tough thing will ride you through on the rest of the activities, and you will not even realize when the others got over.
Sir, may I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
The first book written here is How Will You Measure Your Life?
Yeah.
And the last book written here is Pour Your Heart Into It.
Yeah.
I feel that these two sentences are completely contradictory to each other. If
Well,
you're pouring your heart into your life, how will you measure it?
No, they're completely contrasting, and I don't agree with you. They are not contrasting. They are completely different topics. How will you measure your life is by William Christensen. The gentleman died some time back. He's the same person who's written the famous book, The Innovator's Dilemma, which none other than Steve Jobs considered as his Bible for innovation. Pour Your Heart Into It is autobiography of the Starbucks founder. Phenomenal story. So just don't go by the title, don't go by the cover, read the book, and then you'll understand the meaning behind it.
Okay.
So this is just sample. A lot of people ask me for names of books. My top 5 books would not be here. I think you'll need to connect with me offline for that. I incidentally have carried a beautiful tradition for the last 3 years. So the 20 plus B schools which I have given lectures to, I have about 1,500 odd students part of my WhatsApp group. It's called The Changing Times, and I welcome all of you to be members of that group. So that you can stay connected with me. I can share reviews of some of the good books which I keep reading in my book reading journey, share good articles and good quotes wherever I get them. There's absolutely no pressure that just because you're part of the group that you need to read anything. You just let it accumulate, let that content accumulate. But whenever you are having that time, whenever you feel like reading a book, trust me that the reviews there will be worth enough for you to pick up a book or to pick up a good article and feel happy about it. So I think, that's the whole idea in terms of sharing this.
So may I interrupt you for a moment, if you don't mind?
Sure, Rashika.
Yeah. So you were telling about this book, Eat That Frog, and you said that we should take up the hardest task first.
Yeah.
It sounds good, but what if, like, we always have some time frame in which we plan to complete the list of things that we have, and what if the hardest task takes up 95% of the time or 99% of the time, and the things that we could have done, we missed out on those? Then what is your outlook on it?
So that's why I shared the example, and I said even if the hardest task takes up 50% and you stretched it to 90%, the question here is not whether it's 50% or 90%. The question is if all tasks need to be done, the hardest task also needs to be done. And if you spend time on the easier task and you're leaving rest to fate, you're leaving time on the hardest task to fate because you spend more time on the other task. You are actually putting more pressure on yourself, and working under pressure is not advisable when you have the toughest task, right? So take example of cricket, right? Why do the best batsmen come into play early? Because you don't want the best batsman to be under pressure to be the number 9 batsman coming in when there is no one left behind him and he's under phenomenal pressure. He will not work. So you put your best foot forward to start with, right? You put your best foot forward as an attempt. You take up the biggest challenge because when you're 100% fit and 100% ready, you can put in your best effort, and which is what the toughest task deserves.
Okay.
And this is just a philosophy. It's not that every day you have to take the toughest task. If you have very few tasks in the day and you know those few tasks are easy to accomplish, you might go ahead and do that. But this is obviously for a scenario where you have more tasks than time on your hand. and you want to prioritize certain tasks, then you might prioritize a difficult task and get it out of the way faster.
Okay. This gives a perspective. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So another question for me, sir.
Yes, sure.
So, sir, have you found the purpose in your life, and if yes, what is it? Can you share with us?
I think it's a very hard, heavy question, and you caught me off guard because I didn't expect someone to ask me that. But I think my purpose in life is yet to be defined in a crystal way. But I think what I'm doing right now with you guys, proactively pushing, Ayush knows for a fact that he didn't reach out to me. I reached out to Ayush and I said I would want to conduct a guest lecture at XLRI. I've done that with many institutes. I have proactively reached out and said I would like to get time for a guest lecture, because if I feel that there is some inherent goodness about what I've learned, and I want to share that. I want to constantly increase the quantum of knowledge and information I have, and I want to disproportionately 10x increase the number of people I can reach out to with that same set of information. If I'm able to just keep churning this knowledge, I think the rest of the stuff in life will just take care of itself. My family, my well-being, my aspiration to travel, my aspiration to run, everything takes care for itself. And there's just one book here which has completely transformed me, which is bang in the middle, called Give and Take. I think give and take signifies the philosophy which I decided to adopt way back in end of 2018, when I was on the almost on the last stages of my first 100 book reading journey, which I did in 2018. And it struck me, this whole concept of give and take struck me so hard. And I realized that life builds a different meaning when you live it for someone else. And life takes a completely different path if you're just focused on yourself. Because the day you start focusing on others, the day you start focusing on giving, you will not realize how good fortune comes back to you. Okay, let me take a break here and let me tell you a sweet story. I've actually seen God in real life. He was not as attractive as a Lord Krishna or Lord Rama, to be honest with you. But yes, for me, I think I saw God at that moment. So the story goes back to May 2018. This is the year when I did sorry, May 2019. What am I saying? My memory's gone bad. So this is May 2019. I had signed up to go for the Everest Base Camp trek, which was incidentally the first ever trek I was doing in my life. I was planning to go to Everest Base Camp. And I had signed up sometime in February, and I was busy with my typical work routine. I started doing serious shopping by end of April. Got myself a pair of new shoes, some winter clothing, blah, blah, and all. As far as food was concerned, people had told me that while we get decent amount of food all the way, because we're going to stay in camps and small cottages, food was not a big challenge. So it's not that we had to carry our roti dal chawal with us. We keep some light snacks which we might need to eat in odd hours. And people had said keep dry fruits. They said dry fruits are really useful. Good appetite, blah blah, and all. So I think around the 19th of May was the departure from Delhi to Kathmandu. Incidentally, I had a business trip to Singapore from the 12th to 17th or 12th to 18th. So I knew that after 12th, I would not have enough time for shopping. I think on the 8th of May or 9th of May, I went out for my dry fruit shopping. I went to a store in Gurgaon and I picked up all the dry fruits, except for one critical element, which was dates. So I didn't get good dates there. And I said, yeah, that's something which is on my mind. I need to pick it up. On 9th of May, I got the unfortunate news that my friend's father, who happened to be my dad's very good friend, in fact, he was my dad's employer in Bhopal, passed away. And they were supposed to have the prayer ceremony the next day in the afternoon at 4:30. So I called my dad. He was not keeping good health. And I said, look, it's difficult for you to go, but would you like me to represent you and go to Bhopal? So he said, look, I have no pressure from my side, but if you can go, I would be happy that you went. So 11th of May, that was the only day I had before my trip to Singapore. I took the early morning flight, early morning train from Delhi at 6 in the morning. It got me to Bhopal at about 12:30. I went, on the previous night, once my plan had got finalized, I reached out to my school WhatsApp group and I told them, look guys, I'm coming, you guys been dying for my attention. I'm the school guy who's very difficult to find. And here's your chance. I'm in Bhopal. If you guys want to meet. So they put me in a local group and they said, look, Hetal is coming and would be good to catch up. Let us know who all are willing to come. So 7-8 people said, yes, we will come. A couple of people said, maybe we'll try and all that. So we all ended up, I attended the prayer meeting at 4:30. I was free by 6:30. I told them I'm coming. So I reached the venue at 9 o'clock. It was a club in Arera Colony and we met up. So some 7 of us met up. We had some snacks and drinks and we were chilling around and having a good time. Till 10:30, quarter to 11, someone said, let's not have the dinner here. Let's go to a restaurant close to the railway station because my return train from Bhopal was at 2 o'clock in the night, too early morning, I should say. And they said, we'll have dinner and then we'll drop you at the railway station at around 1 o'clock because I don't think we love you so much that we'll hang around with you till 2 o'clock. 1 is the maximum we can tolerate you. So we'll just drop you after dinner. I said, okay. So we had taken a few pictures in the club and I posted them on the local group. And then we headed to the restaurant, went there, had dinner. Then my friends dropped me at 1 o'clock. And then at 1:20, I'd reached the waiting room and I was sitting and looking at the clock and waiting for it to turn 2. And I got a call. I got a call from this guy called Hakimuddin Safi. Now, I had studied in Campus School Bhopal all through my 12 years. Hakimuddin incidentally had also studied in the same school, but he was in a different section. So we knew each other, like he knew I was Hetal and I knew he was Hakim, but we were never friends, right? And once in a while we would have got up and said hi, hello. In fact, we had a 25-year reunion in December 2017, where again I met him. I knew Hakim looked like this and he knew Hetal looked like this, but that's it. I didn't even know what he's doing. He didn't know what I was doing. No question of knowing each other's family or other. So this guy Hakimuddin calls me at 1:20 early in the morning. अरे हेतल तू कैसा है? अच्छा हूँ. अरे कहाँ है तू? निकल गया है कि है Bhopal? So I said no, I'm still in Bhopal. I'm waiting for my train which is going to come at 2 o'clock. अरे यार sorry यार वो मैं आ नहीं पाया. मैंने कोई बात नहीं कहता रोज़े चल रहे थे and we had not yet had our broken our fast. I said no, that's perfectly fine. I can understand that. कहता है यार मिलना है तेरे को अभी आ जाऊँ मैं? I said look, I'm at the station at the waiting room. It's 1:20. 2 o'clock is my train. So if you're able to come before that, fine. Come over. I can meet you in the waiting room. Let's see math on. At 1:40, Hakimuddin comes into the waiting room and he's got a friend with him. He says, yeah, this is there. So we just start talking. Hi, where are you? How was your trip? You met everyone, good fun, this, that. And then he takes out a box and gives it to me. I'm like, ये क्या है? अरे यार तेरे को मिलने आ रहा था, खाली हाथ तो नहीं आ सकता था. He had got a box of fresh dates for me. And I kept looking at it. I kept looking at it for 2 minutes. I looked at him and I said, Hakimuddin, तू फरिश्ता है मेरे लिए. He said, अरे क्या बात कर रहा है यार? I said, this is one thing in my entire portfolio of 40-50 list of 40-50 items which I had to buy for my trek. This is just one item which was missing and I had run out of time to have it. And you are out here in city of Bhopal where I was not supposed to be, about to take a train which I was nowhere dreaming of taking it. And you are here with a box of dates. And those dates stayed with me all the way for my trek journey, and beautiful dates. I enjoyed having them. There was extra amount of sweetness because I literally felt that God came and gave me those dates. It's just a factor of when you open up yourself to being nice to others, you will be surprised who's nice to you. You'll be completely taken aback by who's nice to you. Your worst enemies might turn out to be the sweetest people. I won't say Hakimuddin was my enemy. I won't say that I had any dislike for him. But the fact of matter remains that 27 years after school, 12 years during the school, we didn't talk. After connecting back on that reunion, we didn't talk. And that day and today, it's been 2 years, we are not talk. We have not spoken. It's not that sudden love came between us. It's not that that was a starting point of a great friendship. It's not that I've consciously not done it so that I can talk about it in this session. It's just not happened because it was not meant to be. If we were supposed to be friends, we would have been friends long back. It's just God's way of being nice to me. That's it. I would say that. That happened to be a follow-up year. That was the year 2019 where I decided to do 50 acts of kindness, 50 random acts of kindness. The whole idea of 50 acts of kindness was originated from the book Give and Take. So that's where the story comes back to the book Give and Take and what it inspired me. I didn't do 50 acts. I stopped at 26. But trust me, each of those 26 acts was worth talking about. Me receiving the dates was not an act of kindness, in case you are getting confused there. But the fact that I was doing those acts of kindness, someone decided to be kind to me in return. And I think that's the whole story all about. And there's a subtle message here. I hope you get it, right? If you get a chance to do good to others, don't miss it. One of my favorite message, and you might want to make a note of it. Everything, every person that you encounter in life, there is a value and meaning attached to it. Every person, everything, every act in this life has a meaning attached to it. If you spend time and understand the meaning and derive the value from that individual or that thing, hats off to you. If you don't, the loss is yours. The pen you are holding, the bookshelf behind you, the neighbor, the liftman, the doorman, the gentleman which said hello to you in the bus yesterday, the friendly taxi guy who dropped you at the airport the other day, your parents, your siblings, your friends, everyone is there for a purpose. If you are able to derive meaning out of it, and if you're able to derive meaning out of every person, trust me, you will be the richest man in the world. You might not be rich by your bank balance, but in terms of bank balance as far as happiness and satisfaction of life is concerned, it'll be really, really difficult for anyone to beat you. Because nobody can honestly do justice to everyone and everything in this world. So even if you inch toward and maybe do 10% of that, I think no one would be as lucky as you. Let me just quickly jump to the last section of the last slide. I have a small story to tell there in case we are left with time. Let's see. So we're short of time. Ayush, are we allowed to end the session or should we stop? Sorry, I didn't know that I was on mute and talking.
Sir, you just went on.
You're audible.
Okay, great.
We have a class at 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So ideally we'd want to get free maybe like 15-20 minutes before that.
Wonderful. So I'm going to really measure my time going forward. So we are at 3:24. I'm going to not tell you the story. I'm going to skip the story I was going to tell you. I'll quickly jump to the slide number 4, which has got some nuggets of wisdom which I wanted to share. I need 5 minutes for the video to be played, and I need 5-7 minutes for the fun round. And yeah, if time is left, we'll still touch the story. So basically, life has taught me different meanings, mostly books, of course. These are not practical life learnings. Here are some interesting nuggets of wisdom. Mental accounting. So you go in a crowded place and your wallet is stolen. There were 3,000 rupees in the wallet and you feel sad about it. Ladies might visualize it to be a purse for the sake of simplicity. You go into the market. You needed to pick up something from the grocery store. You park your car in a no parking zone, thinking that you'll be gone in and come out in just 2 minutes. And then you come back and there is a 1,000 rupee fine sticker on your car and you feel frustrated. Oh man, life is so unfair. I just went for 2 minutes and I have to pay 1,000 rupees. So every loss pulls you down, drags you down. How about you do this, right? Set aside an amount, let's say 10,000 rupees every month. First of the month, you decide, till I'm not down by 10,000 rupees, I'm not going to lose sleep on it. I'll just think that it's gone for charity and donation. And if I was going to do charity or donation, I will not do it if I lose that money. Simple as that. And imagine the difference which will bring in you from an approach perspective. You might lose 1,000 rupees in a no parking zone. Someone might flick away your wallet. You might lose 3,000 rupees. You had bought a pizza and you forgot to eat it and it's gone stale. Throw it away because it's part of that 10,000 rupees. Your life will be far more better if you've done the mental accounting and set aside some money in advance rather than regretting and letting that money go later. Simple as that. Secret of persistence. Now, of course, the scenario is different, but in olden days, stock traders used to be a very fancy scene on the TV where people are shouting buy, 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 sell, sell. There are screens showing stock prices all over. Investment bankers, you heard, are known to be really wise cracks. They earn a lot of money. But no stockbroker or no investment banker features among the top 100 wealthiest people in the world. Yet there is one gentleman who's featured in that list for the last 20 years, 30 years. Uh, Warren Buffett, sitting in city of Omaha in Nebraska, has a completely different investment philosophy, which is driven by persistence. He identifies companies, analyzes their balance sheet for years together, meets the senior management, visits the factory, understands the market, understand the ecosystem, understand the competition, and then bets big and stays big. He's got 4% off Coke, 6% of McDonald's, and all that, right? And he just continues to back his investment for decades together. And that's how he's built his wealth. So there's no beautiful example of persistence, but I'll try and share that through my story if we have time going forward. Art of correction. Visualize that you are in Delhi and you need to take a flight to Bombay. You board the flight, the pilot boards the flight. The pilot looks at his dashboard, it says Bombay, and he presses the button Bombay and you reach Bombay. Do you think flying an aircraft is that simple? But you don't know how complicated it is. Any guesses on the number of times a plane can lose track if the pilot does not control it with his joystick? Any guesses? An aircraft
Maybe
can lose track. Sorry?
maybe once every 15 minutes or so.
Awesome. That's perfect answer. That's exactly what I was looking for. But that's when I like to make fun of people who give the answer. Thousands of times a second. An aircraft can lose track thousands of times a second. Now an
I was
aircraft,
very
which is
surprised that my guess was correct, but
that's
yeah,
okay.
thank you. Go
But
on.
you fell for the trap. I always look
Yeah,
for
I
people
did.
to respond to this question. So a flight journey from Delhi to Bombay in 2 hours is losing track thousands of times every minute. Imagine how many times in your career your life is going to go off track. And you are the pilot. You have the joystick of your life in your hands. And if you're losing track, please, you're far better off than the aircraft. So if you're mentally prepared that your life is going to go off track, you'll fare far better and you'll not be surprised by the twists and turns which life has in store for you. Focusing illusion. Let's assume that you're sitting in Patiala or Jumri Talaya for that matter, and you aspire for or you envy people sitting in Srinagar or Goa or Miami. But do you think people living in Miami or Goa or Srinagar, do they have a different life than you? They also wake up at 8 o'clock like you do. They also go to work at 9 o'clock like you do. They also have a lunch break at 12:30 like you do. They also come back home from work at 6 o'clock like you do. They also have dinner at 8 o'clock like you do, and they also get tired and go to sleep at 10 o'clock like you do. We needlessly feel that, oh wow, if I had a hut in Goa and I would have a great life. Look, retired life is the same everywhere, but work life is the same everywhere. So don't have this focusing illusion that someone else is more happy. Don't have this illusion that grass is greener on the other side. When you go on the other side, you realize it's not. Book of worries, right? We all have our worries, right? ओ आज बारिश हो गई तो मैं भीग गया तो, ओ आज रास्ते में ट्रैफिक होगा तो, ओ ऑफिस में लेट हो गया तो, ओ घर पे खाना नहीं मिलेगा तो, ओ बीवी डांट मारेगी तो, ओ बच्चा दुखी होगा तो, right? How about we manage a book of worries, and on the beginning of the day you note down all the worries you have for the day, and you do it on track for 7 days. And you then look back at that book and realize that how many of your worries never came true. Our biggest worries in life are the ones which never turned out to be true. Biggest worries, right? Unfortunately, nobody worried about a pandemic happening and it turned out to be true. Imagine, right? We all worry about a plane crash every time we board a flight. How many of us have been involved in a plane crash? The number of people who actually fall victim are small. Such a small number is so insignificant. You have more chances of being hit on the road, but you're not worried about a road accident when you go out in your car every day. So unfortunate it is. Experience trumps memory. We all are fond of branded cars, right? So visualize whichever branded car you have, whether it's a BMW or a Merc or an Audi or a Porsche for that matter. Some of you might aspire for a Maruti Ciaz as a branded car. Be happy with it. So you take out your brand new branded car, tell your family, let's go for a picnic. Kids are all excited sitting at the back. They've taken all their play stuff with them. You go all the way, you're in Delhi, let's say you're going to Mussoorie or Shimla for that matter, 7-8 hours drive. You stop by at Murthal and have some parathas. You go further up and come across a nice green area, and your family decide to do an impromptu picnic. Kids take out their play stuff. Your husband or wife takes out food stuff, and you have a nice time eating and chilling around, lazing around. You go further up, come across a beautiful waterfall. Kids want to take shower in the waterfall. You go with them. Beautiful waterfall. You had fun splashing water all around. Thake aare, you finally reach your destination. Does anyone remember the brand of the car which you drove? Experience trumps memory. Your destination is what matters. Your journey is what matters, not the destination. The brand does not matter. The utility of a car is to take you from point A to point B. So always focus on the journey. Always focus on the experience. Don't worry about the destination, because the destination will take care of itself. But if you're not enjoying the experience, the destination would not be wow. If you are enjoying the journey, enjoying the experience, even if you reach a wrong place, ठीक है यार, रात को रुक जाएंगे, कल सुबह निकल जाएंगे, क्या प्रॉब्लम है? As simple as that. 5-second rule is an interesting rule. Anything which you ever wish to do, write a book, write an article, dance, sing a song, eat a pizza, go for a movie, call a friend, call your parents. uh, you have 5 seconds to do it. नहीं तो क्या होगा? सारी कायनात तुमको उस चीज को करने से रोकेगी. As simple as that. It's an interesting rule, and it turns out to be true every time. If I don't do that activity within those 5 seconds, I will come up with arguments not to do it. अरे यार, अभी तो कल ही तो पिज़्ज़ा खाया था, अभी क्यों खाना है? अरे 2 दिन पहले ही तो पेरेंट्स को फ़ोन किया था, अभी फिर से क्या फ़ोन करना है यार? You will come up with excuses not to do it. Now, this could be good, this could be bad. So you judge for yourself. The 5-second rule applies to bad things as well. So if you intend to do a bad thing, then you delay it for 5 seconds, you will not do it, and you'll be better off with that. Emotions as birds. We all are emotional people. The female folk are more open to acknowledge their emotions than the men. We all are troubled by our emotions. Emotions are both positive, negative. Joy is an emotion, fear is an emotion, anger is an emotion, happiness is an emotion. And sadness is emotion, happiness is emotion. Um, the important part is to understand emotions as birds. What do birds do? Come in, sit on our shoulder, and fly away. If you try to hold the bird, it will rebel and go away, right? You cannot hold the bird for long. Emotions are birds. If you are very happy about a positive emotion, please be aware of the fact it's only there for a fleeting moment, like a bird. Very soon you will have another problem to encounter. Very soon you will start feeling sad and depressed. If you're sad and depressed, emotions are birds. It's only momentary. The pandemic, however long it might have lasted, it's not going to last forever. Maybe the bird decided to lay a few eggs in case of the pandemic, but it's still a bird and it's going to fly away. And you will not realize it when it flies away. And you'll be the happier person because you had the emotion of patience with you, which stayed with you for a far longer time than what the bird should have. Finally, expectations. We all have expectations, right? वो मुझे लाइक करेगा, वो मुझे लाइक करेगी, वो मुझे गिफ्ट देगा, वो मुझे गिफ्ट देगी, पापा मुझे शाबाश कहेंगे, टीचर मुझे पैट ऑन द बैक देंगे. हम दूसरों से सब एक्सपेक्टेशन रखते हैं. हम अपने से expectation नहीं रखते. We become miserly when it comes to expectation from yourself. And the day we convert expectations of others to acceptance, we'll be the most happy people in the world. उसको मैं शायद अच्छा नहीं लगा, इसलिए उसने मेरी तारीफ नहीं करी. मेरी ड्रेस शायद उतनी अच्छी नहीं है जो उसको तारीफ करने की जरूरत पड़े. मेरा स्कोर अच्छा है मेरे हिसाब से, लेकिन बाकी लोगों ने भी अच्छा किया है. शायद मुझे और इम्प्रूव करने की ज़रूरत है. पेरेंट्स की एक्सपेक्टेशन कुछ और हैं. मे बी दे वांट मी टू गेट 99 and not 95. Maybe I need to work harder. And if their expectations are so high, I really don't need to meet them. Why should I fulfill their expectations when I'm not fulfilling theirs? मैं अपनी जगह, वो अपनी जगह. It might sound a bit matlabi, but I think this is a better way to live life. When you start focusing and drawing your expectations and draw that energy towards yourself rather than towards others. And the biggest challenge with expectations is we never call it out. You never went to your girlfriend and said, how am I looking? You didn't go to your boyfriend and say, please praise me if I'm looking good, huh? Mind you. Well, if you say that, he or she is obviously going to praise you because they've understood that that's what you want. You didn't go to your teacher and complain that, sir, aapne mere ko prize nahi diya aur acha nahi. He'll probably call out the reason why he didn't do that. And maybe you'll be better off. So if you insist on having expectations, then be candid about it and share it. Otherwise, don't have expectations in life. Let me quickly jump to the story. I normally overshoot because I'm extremely passionate about it, but I'll try and zip through as fast as I can. So this is 2018. A lot happened with me in 2018. So it was this was Feb 2018 when I was preparing for my half Ironman. I had incidentally signed up for the half Ironman previous November 2017 on a whim. I was not even sure whether I could do it or not. It was a combination. So Ironman, for those who don't know, is a combination of swimming, cycling, and running in that order. A full Ironman involves a distance of 3.8 kilometers of swimming, 180 kilometers of cycling, and 42 kilometers of running. I was doing the half Ironman, which is half the distance. The cutoff time is 9 hours. Individual cutoff time, you can take as much break or time, you can take break in between, but that impacts your overall cutoff time. So as long as you're within the cutoff time, you're fine. So I decided to push off the practice till middle of Jan, because middle of Jan, which is Jan 18th, I was running the full marathon in Bombay. I said, once I'm done with the full marathon, then I will have enough time. I'll have almost a month's time to prepare for the half Ironman. I'll do it. I'd been swimming all my life and I was not so much worried about swimming from a stamina perspective. I had not cycled long distance much, so I wanted to address that. And of course, I was running full marathon at that time, so I was not so worried about the 21 kilometer, which I need to do for half Ironman. So 18th of Jan, I finished the full marathon in Bombay. I improved my timing by 40 minutes that time, so I was on a high. I came back. The next weekend was 26th of Feb. I didn't have a cycle, so I rented a cycle, and the place where I rented from, they said, tomorrow we are doing a 100-kilometer bike ride. Why don't you just join us? So I came along with them. 26th of Jan, Republic Day, all happy. I did the 100-kilometer cycle. So my previous longest cycle ride was about 20 kilometers. So it was a huge leap for me. Extremely happy I had overcome a significant barrier as far as cycling was concerned. The following weekend, which was the 2nd of Feb, I was supposed to do a combination of swimming plus cycling. It was winter in Delhi, not many heated pools. There was a new pool which had opened in a school in Gurgaon, and I decided to venture out there. They said between 6 to 8 in the morning, the only slot available. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning, get ready and drive and reach that school. Pin drop silence, foggy night. Only the guard is sitting at the main gate, and I say, where is the pool? He said, go there. I walk to the pool. There's nobody there. Water is still. Touch the water. It was supposed to be heated, but it was not heated. But it was not like freakingly cold. And, having woken up in the morning, having reached there, I said, let's just jump in. I changed, jump into the pool, 1 lap, 2 lap, 3 lap, 4 lap. Water was cold, but, for all those who are swimmers, you would understand that once you get into the water, you don't feel cold anymore. I did those 50 laps, walked out of the water. I was in a hurry. I didn't want to take shower and all that. I just quickly wanted to dry myself and change and go home. Dried myself, wore my socks. My shoes, my legs were dry, my socks were dry, but when I wore the slipper, there was some water in the slipper and my feet were wet for the 15-minute drive from the school to my house. 15 minutes of wet feet. I don't know how many of you know wet feet and cough and cold.
So
I went
it's
back
really
home.
bad.
Yeah,
So it's
cancelled
only
my.
it's only the first 2 laps into the pool, and after that you're fine for the rest of it, as long
Yeah,
as you've got a water source without getting out.
right. So I had wet feet once I finished swimming. Came back home. Had cancelled the idea of cycling because I just wanted to get into the warm blanket back home. Went back home, took out the socks and slept. But those 15 minutes of wet feet led to a bad cough and cold the very next day morning. And that cough lasted me for 2.5 months. I would not have had 2.5 months of cough all put together in my 44 years in life, but I had 2.5 months of continuous cough. It was that severe. So the following weekend, I could not have done swimming. I had signed up for a 60K cycling. I still went out for cycling with a couple of my friends. I was wearing a bandana, and that entire bandana was wet from cough by the end of the cycling. And my friend were literally scolding and saying, "You had such bad cough. Why did you venture out to do cycling?" I said, "Look, I'm just preparing for the half Ironman. I wanted to make sure that I make the most of the weekend." Went back home, rested. The following week, which is from 12th of Feb to 18th of Feb, I was completely weak. I had fever a few days, absolutely no physical activity. And 17th of Feb was here, which was the previous Saturday. The next day was the half Ironman. Spoke to a couple of my coaches and I told them, "Look, this is a scenario." They said, "No way you're going. A cough like this, trying to be in the water and swimming for an hour will not be good." Some people said you will have lung infection. Some people said you can die if you cough in the water and all kind of crazy stuff. Then I spoke to this friend of mine who's extremely close to me, my MBA buddy. He said, "Look, Hetal, I know you. If I'm going to tell you no, you're not going to listen to me. So do this. When you wake up in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself whether you're mentally prepared for it or not. If you're mentally prepared, your body will tag along." I wake up in the morning. I had got all my cycling and running and swimming gear ready the previous night. 3:30 in the morning, I had felt nice, decided to go for it. Reached the venue by 5 o'clock. 5:30 was the start. Changed and got into my swimming gear. Talkotara Stadium, one of the best swimming pools in the country. Bright late, early morning, nice breeze outside. Touched the water. This was genuinely warm this time. I was like, "इस बार बेवकूफ नहीं बनने वाला हूँ." This is genuinely warm water and I can actually enjoy. Start swimming 1 lap, 2 lap, 3 lap. I was actually enjoying myself. Fortunately, I did need to cough a couple of times. I didn't cough inside the water. I coughed outside. Against my target of 60 minutes, I actually finished in 50 minutes. I was like, wow, I was worried about my swimming leg and actually finished before time. Get out of the pool, change my clothes, took out my cycle, started the cycling. We were supposed to do 9 rounds of 10 kilometer around the stadium. So on the first round, second round, third round, fourth round, 5 rounds were complete. On the sixth round, at the midway point, I heard a disturbing sound. Psst. I had a flat tire. Unlike the professional cyclist, I was not prepared for a puncture. I didn't have a spare tube. I had to drag my cycle all the way to the beginning. So till that time, I was doing decently well on timing, and that 5 kilometer of dragging the cycle pushed me out. People who were far ahead of me, far behind me, were now starting to go ahead of me. I reached the entrance. The volunteers were sitting and said, "The flat tire." He said, "Don't worry, flip the cycle over, change the tube." They said, "We're not bothering about fixing the puncture. We just change the tube and you go ahead." I took the cycle out for my seventh round. 10 meters into the seventh round, and I get another disturbing sound. Psst, another flat tire in the same back tire. I come back and they said, "तो फिर से आ गया?" I said, "No, I have another flat tire." They again put a fresh tube. They said, "Go." Seventh round done, eighth round done, ninth round, I'm at about 7 kilometer mark. And guess what? Psst, a third flat tire, the same tire. This is a fresh tube. And I couldn't believe myself. That was the time when I thought, I think I should give up. भगवान मुझे बार बार बोल रहा है मत कर मत कर. I had that cough, I had fever, I was not feeling well. My coaches had told me, my friends had told me, सबने बोला था मत कर, फिर भी गलत समझ में आ गया. And now one flat tire, second time puncture, now third time it has happened. Like there cannot be a stronger indication than this from God that I should give up. चुपचाप घर जा, सो जा. I said, no, hold on. If God wants to test me, then I better go through the test. Otherwise, no fun in it. Decide to drag my cycle, finish my ninth round, drop the cycle, decided my running round. I had 3 hours left for running. At that time, my best half marathon timing was 150. So you would say, sir, very easy for you. But mentally, I was shaken up. It was already morning in Delhi. Traffic had been opened up for, the roads had been opened up for traffic. So I had to literally wiggle my way through rather than having an open road, which was the case earlier. I finished the first 10K, the second 10K, halfway I was running, halfway I was walking. My nutrition was over, the nutrition stands had been removed. So I was literally on Ram Bharose or Krishna Bharose, depending on which God you believe in. But 8 hours and 40 minutes, I touched the finishing line and I completed my first half marathon. I don't think there can be a better example of persistence than this. But the statistic which will befund you, there were 270 participants in different activities on that day in that event. There's only one gentleman who had a flat tire, who had 3 of them actually. I mean, it's all about fighting against all odds and not giving up when everyone expects you to. When everyone would be okay that you gave up, people will still pat you on your back and say, "Nahi yaar, tune try to kiya." You know, there are always brownie points for trying, but there's a huge reward for ending, and I think the reward at the end is what you should all aspire for. So I have a video and I have a fun round. Do you want to do the video first or you do the fun round first? Your choice.
Maybe I could show them the video afterwards because we have
Okay,
a
that makes sense, right? So let's have some fun round. You've been patient listeners. Some of you are bold enough to ask a few questions. So earlier I used to give out gifts and no prize for guessing what I give out as gifts. I used to give it out to people who would ask questions, and then I felt asking question is a test of intellect, and test of intellect is unfair. Test of luck is fair. I want you guys to remember that there's something called luck in life. And there's no better way to remember than to miss out on a gift just because you were out of luck. So what's I think you have a healthy gender ratio, right? Because this first question, it's important from a gender ratio perspective. Ayush? So out of 91 participants, how many females? Because I'm assuming only females will be able to win this award.
the gender ratio is about 80-20, so it's a little skewed.
Okay. So all the girls, this is your chance to get the first gift. The girl with the longest hair. Self-volunteer, self-declare. Whoever thinks she's got the longest hair can
One
set.
Akanksha, I guess. Oh, sorry, Priyanka.
Oh man, you already been checking out each other's hair. I know if the girls are doing it, it's okay. I hope the guys also didn't have the answer ready.
I think
all guys would be looking at Priyanka. Huh? Really? Long hair? Where is she? But I can't see her here, so I have limited view of the screen. But yeah, if all of you guys agree, then she's the first winner. Second one. So Ayush, you're making note, right, of the winners? The guy or the girl with the longest name. Okay. So count the number of characters or letters in your first name, last name, middle name. If it is displayed on the screen only, then you can use. Don't suddenly remember your dad and say, "Nahi, sir, mera middle name hai, sir. Oh, Brahmaputra is my middle name." Sorry, it won't work. If it is not displayed on the screen, you can't count it. So count the
SKS
number.
Akhilesh.
Sorry?
SKS Akhilesh. SKS Akhilesh is the longest name we have.
No, I think we even have 3 Vikram.
SKS Akhilesh is the longest name because we don't know the full form of SKS yet.
Does he know? Does he know?
Obviously.
People have to say it out without breaking breath, right?
Yeah, sure. I'll try.
PT Usha can run faster than you spelling out a name.
Should I go ahead?
Yes.
We all going with SKS or is anyone disputing? Because look, SKS should have his name displayed as SK as the full name here. I think otherwise he's not eligible for the award. Just give me 1 second, please.
Then it's Akhori Aman Kumar.
Yes, as per that rule, Aman is the winner.
Listen, even Prashant Chauhan and Trivikram. Trivikram, where are you, man? Anybody knows his full name?
So, Amir, we only have.
No, it's all about what's registered, right? So it's Akhori Aman Kumar. My vote to him.
Sir is not
Actually,
there.
I think Saptarishi won.
Saptarishi, yes, exactly. I was just checking the name.
Yeah.
What's Saptarishi's full name?
Saptarshi
Chattopadhyay.
All Saptarishis are Chattopadhyay. I also know a Saptarishi who's Chattopadhyay. Okay, all of you are in agreement? Saptarishi is the next winner?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now for the people who are ruining having a small name, the guy or the girl with the smallest name, combination of first name plus last name, and there might be multiple winners. So the first one who puts his name
Amir Khan.
Avik Roy.
Avik Roy.
Avik
Roy, I think.
Avik Roy. Avik
Oh,
Roy.
damn.
Avik Roy, yeah.
Avik Roy.
Avik Roy, 7 letters. Anyone challenging on 7 letters? Though it's nice. I mean, there's extreme bonhomie here. Everyone is bidding for someone else to win the award rather than trying to self-promote.
Why Srikanth also has 7 letters?
Your OB class is well attended, I believe, right? You're great students.
Vivek S has 6.
It's Vivek S, sir.
Vivek S has 6.
Vivek S.
Yeah, Vivek.
Vivek S. Vivek S. Yes. 6
Okay,
letters.
Vivek is the winner. All of you agree?
Yes.
Interesting. Now the fourth one is interesting. Okay, the guy or the girl who has the maximum amount of currency notes in his wallet or purse on your desk right now, accessible. In your pocket, you might have money in your pocket as well, but he or she who's got the maximum amount of currency, you have to display the currency.
Me.
3,000.
Wow.
Are you talking about just Indian
Government
or
currency, not fake notes, huh? वो Monopoly की notes.
Yeah, Indian currency.
हिमांशु दिवाली में बहुत जीता है.
कितने
I think this is the finance fund.
हिमांशु कितने?
Finance committee leading. बहुत है.
वो तो डिजिटल
All new.
It's from yesterday's
Surabhi Gupta is
Diwali
at-
Muhurat transaction, I think.
Surabhi Gupta is at 3,000.
Himanshu is at 3,000. और कौन है? Anyone else challenging? Anyone rich brat in the house? Oh, okay, great. So we have Himanshu as the fourth winner. Okay, the last question is a combination of 2 questions, and this one strictly on chat. Don't blur out the answer on the audio video. You have to put it in chat. Ayush will be closely monitoring. You have to give me 2 answers. The first answer you need to give me is name of all the celebrities featured in the video in the beginning of this talk. The second question is where the consultant whom I went to meet lived. What area did he live in? All the answer has to be in one chat message, mind you. No multiple. Don't write the first answer, then write another message. If you're not sure about the second answer, hold on, think about it, and then put it in. Because if your answer doesn't have both the answers, all the celebrities and the venue, you're not qualified as a winner.
Hello, sir. Roy here. In the meanwhile, I just had a question. The
Yeah,
book
sure.
that you said, Give and Take, that's this book by Adam Grant, the
That's
book
right.
that you meant.
Yeah.
Correct, sir. So, and one more thing, sir, it was a great session. And a lot of what you said actually resonated with me. So I'm hoping that I don't come across as too arrogant. If I could suggest you a book and I could take your number from Ayush and we can have a chat over it.
You're most
Yes.
welcome, man. I think someone who's read so many books, arrogance would be the last thing you would expect from him.
Yeah. So I'll get your number from Ayush and I'll get back to you. This
But
is
you
Avik.
can mention the name of the book here. I mean, we can chat. That's not a
Yeah.
problem. Let
So
others also know, right?
I wanted to know whether you have read this book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse.
I've heard about it. I've heard it's
Yeah.
a comic book or it's a comic tragic book, but I've not read it. But yeah, I've heard about the name, but I've not read it.
Yeah. So if you could, if you get a chance and if you have time to read that book, we can have a chat over it.
I'll definitely.
And I can give you about my learnings from Give and Take.
Wonderful. That's great to know. Just hold on 1 second, please.
Sure.
Yeah. So, sorry, Ayush, you want to call out the list of winners as a summary?
I'm still waiting for people to type in.
Sure. Oh yeah, true. For the last one.
By the way, sir, my name is Avik. In case you think that someone's spamming you in WhatsApp or anything, just want to know.
I don't mind spamming as long as it's all good stuff coming in. So remember the names not in the lecture, but in the video. So I think Rashika has mentioned more about what I mentioned, or maybe it's a combination of the two. So in the chat message, I've shared the link of the WhatsApp group, which I mentioned about. Most welcome for all of you to join the group. And I want to call this out because a few people have left the group after a bit because they said, oh, we didn't get time to read those books. We didn't get time to read those posts. There's absolutely no pressure on you to read. But as long as you stay with that group, you stay connected with me. And you never know where this journey or destination will take you. So to reiterate, because I think a few people have given the wrong answer, the location where the consultant was in the first story which I told you, the very first story in the beginning of the lecture. Praneeth says somewhere in the US. Way off mark. And guys, I think we're almost reaching 4 o'clock, so I will not be able to play the video. But yeah, Ayush, you can go ahead and share the link to the video with the group. And of course, you can watch, but do watch. Highly inspirational and motivational video. Especially it's great if you're feeling low at any point of time, you would want to watch it. In considering the paucity of time, let's call off the final question. Let me decide who comes close as a winner. So the location, as was guessed rightly by Shilpi and Aman Kumar, it's Jayanagar, where the consultant was. Bhopal was not the place. Abhay has got most of them right. So has Ashish got most of them right. I think everyone else has got slightly lesser than them. I think Abhay wrote it same 2 times. So Abhay, since you came close to the venue and mentioned Bangalore, which is what Ashish had missed out, I'll call out Abhay Agarwal as the winner.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. So Ayush, I would request you to make a WhatsApp group with all the winners and myself and you. What I want to do is I want to make the gift giving a more democratic process. And any of you guys didn't guess, the gifts are actually going to be ebooks. So I want to make sure that I give books which are somewhere sort of relevant to what he or she has done from a background perspective. Not that I can, be awfully right or awfully wrong in that way, but just add a more fun element to it. Yeah, so I think that's it from my end. It's been a phenomenal experience talking to you guys. I was just speaking to a friend of mine yesterday, and I was like, whole session, and I'm doing 6 sessions in the last in this 1 week. This is one session I was looking forward to because XLRI is one institute which I've always looked up with a lot of respect. I don't think I applied for it. I was not very focused on HR, and I believe it's like used to be a very heavily HR focused 20 years back. Now, of course, all the domains are equally well given equal justice. But great to hear you guys. And Ayush has promised me that he is going to get the main MBA batch students to come for a lecture. He has time till end of this week to arrange for a session. If he doesn't do that, I want volunteers to stand up and say we'll make sure that the main MBA batch also gets to get a guest lecture.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. It was an amazing talk. We enjoyed it thoroughly.
Seriously, sir.
Yeah.
And the stories, I think, were very gripping and engaging. They were by far the best part.
I'm glad. I'm glad that I've gone through that experience just to be able to share with you. And one more request, rather than putting a blank request on LinkedIn, please customize your request. That's a feature which is most ignored. Indicate why you would want to connect with me, pick out points from the lecture. And I'm not saying this for myself. I think this is a starting point for you, for everyone, right? Anytime you reach out to anyone in LinkedIn, as I mentioned earlier in the lecture, please customize that request so that the other person feels there is some value or merit or worthiness in the connection as well.
So you're talking about the customized option to the personalized invite option?
Say that again.
Personalized invite.
Yeah. That's what I'm asking you to use. Yeah.
So I'll just have to cut this short a little bit because we have two different sets of professors. So, but thank you so much, sir, for taking out the time.
A pleasure. Yeah. Thank you very much. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.